Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen was hacked to the tune of 213 million XRP. This happened yesterday, leading many to speculate that the price drop that we saw for XRP yesterday was a result of this. But is that the case? I'm actually not sold on that idea, and I'll explain why. But this is absolutely wild, and there's people questioning, well, if you can't keep your XRP safe, how the hell am I supposed to? It makes me wonder exactly how this all went down. So I'll share with you everything we know to this point. The news broke a little after 8 a.m. Central Time, which is my time zone. At the time I'm recording this, in case anyone is curious, it's 10:44 a.m. Central Time. So who knows, perhaps more news breaks, and that'll cause all of our opinions to adjust accordingly. But let's go ahead and dig into this. Before going further, though, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything, because if anything I say are right, I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, here's a proper headline from Cointelegraph. Ripple chairman Chris Larsen hacked for reported 213 million XRP, worth approximately $112.5 million. Here's an example of a completely inappropriate headline, which is inaccurate, coming from, of course, Bitcoinist.com. This is where you go for the most reliable, trustworthy XRP and Ripple-related news, right? You go to Bitcoinist.com, right? No, you do not, because you get headlines like this. Ripple falls victim to massive hack over 213 million XRP stolen. No, Ripple was not hacked. By all accounts to this point, absolutely not. It was strictly Chris Larsen, but they know that and they put this out anyway. This is garbage. Thank you. Round of applause for Bitcoinist, everybody, for screwing everything up and lying to their readers. Thank you for misleading your followers. I don't understand how people have trust in this publication. So here's what we got. This news broke at 8:05. You can see the timestamp here. 8:05 a.m. Central Time. This is the account that broke it. Zach XBT on social media platform X. In 2024, X is where news actually tends to happen first. So this is where you can get the most up-to-the-date stuff on pretty much any topic. That is true, actually. But Zach XBT wrote the following. It appears Ripple was hacked for 213 million XRP, $112.5 million. And then he shares a source address. Now, as far as him reporting this, that is reasonable because he's the one that broke the story, not having specifics. Shortly after this, very shortly after this, specifics did come out, which made it very clear that Ripple was not hacked, and then he updated that. But he says, so far, stolen funds have been laundered through Mexi, Gate, Binance, Kraken, OKX, HTX, HitBTC, etc. And then he shared a bunch of addresses that the money, XRP had been sent through. Chris Larsen responded pretty quickly, just a half hour later, 8:36 a.m. Central Time, and wrote, yesterday, there was unauthorized access to a few of my personal XRP accounts, not Ripple. We were quickly able to catch the problem and notify exchanges to freeze the affected addresses. Law enforcement is already involved. And so that doesn't give you a ton of specifics. You know, was any XRP successfully sold? Was it not? I speculate that at least some of it was, though I doubt all of it. And more on that in just a second. But first I want to note, just look at the price action here for XRP. It's currently at 51 cents. We can note that when the news broke, 8:05 a.m., the price of XRP was 50.7 cents. It did drop to 49.8 cents very quickly and very briefly, rebounded super fast, and here you can see at 8:30, well, the closest I can get is 8:35 on Live Coin Watch. It's back up to 50.6 cents, and it kind of moved sideways, a little down, a little up, and it's up since then. Now up at 50, at the time you see 51.1 cents. So the market's already over it, it seems. Let me get back to here. And then there was also this from Thomas Silkjar. He is the head of analytics and compliance at the XRP Ledger Foundation, and he had additional information to share on this. So he was well aware of this pretty much from the get-go. So he reposted what Chris Larsen, Ripple co-founder, shared and wrote the following. We received a tip yesterday from @Whitebit of suspicious deposits which led to unraveling a huge network of accounts involved in this case. We alerted Chris as soon as we realized what was going on and have worked tirelessly for the past 18 plus hours collaborating with our good friends at GateHub, sharing data with exchanges involved in the matter, sharing data with Chris and his team, and collecting information for further processing and investigation by Chris's team and law enforcement. At this moment, I can't share more details. I can, however, reiterate, as usual, that some exchanges are much more responsive than others. Thanks for the collaboration. So, wording it like that, some exchanges more responsive than others. Well, again, since we know that some accounts were frozen on specific exchanges, and the way he worded it like that makes you think, yeah, perhaps some weren't frozen so quickly, and perhaps some XRP was sold, which I speculate is the case. And so I shared the following this morning. What time did I get there? Let's see what time this was. It was 9:28 a.m. Central Time. I reposted what Chris Larsen shared and wrote the following. Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen's XRP was stolen via unauthorized access to his accounts. Apparently 213 million XRP was stolen. Exchanges froze affected addresses, but it's not clear if the thief was able to sell any XRP before the freeze was implemented. So technically we don't know, although it looks like it. So you can see it, the accounts were drained because, I mean, this is a public blockchain, but then once XRP is on an exchange, especially if the XRP is now in a shared account, you can't really see exactly what happens. Was it sold? Were accounts frozen quickly enough? So technically we don't know, but I would be shocked if a big old chunk of this wasn't sold. I would be very shocked if some of it wasn't. Somebody responded to me and wrote, "This explains the dip in XRP, although the market was green." And here was my response. I wrote, "I doubt it. Many coins were down to a similar degree yesterday, with some top 50 coins bleeding much worse than XRP." And folks, this is the case. And I talked about this yesterday. So let me share with you some thoughts on this. If all of the 213 million XRP were successfully sold on exchanges yesterday, that would account for roughly 6% of global volume over a 24-hour period. But we don't know if all of it was sold. So, for example, if half was sold, that would be, that would account for only 3% of global volume. And by the way, you're talking about, again, a dollar value of, just call it roughly $113 million. Well, the global volume for XRP at just about any given point within the last 24 hours was closer to 1.7 billion. So say they were fortunate enough to sell half of it. You're talking about, 50 something million dollars worth of XRP sold over a span of who knows how many hours against the backdrop of a 24-hour volume of $1.7 billion. That's a drop in the bucket, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't seem like a particularly large percentage of global volume. Although you hear, obviously, 213 million XRP, you're like, whoa, that's a big-ass number. I get it. But, and also consider, you got to note, many exchanges limit how much XRP can be sold on a given day. So, it would depend on the policies of various exchanges as far as how much they could unload anyway. But, of course, you would assume that they kind of planned this out ahead of time and thought of that. Look, either way, it's very clear that the vast majority of the XRP price move yesterday was caused by speculators on a global scale. It's hard to believe that this could explain, the sell-off that we saw yesterday. But if anyone can prove that's the case, that this is the reason for it, I'm absolutely willing to listen and would adjust my opinion accordingly if you have compelling evidence. I'm just saying at this very early stage, having thought through it and knowing the numbers that I know, at least to this point in time, I just find it a bit hard to believe that this would have been the reason for the move. And also remember that most of the top 50 coins, and probably the whole market, were down yesterday, with many coins, down to a similar degree to XRP. And there were no reported hackings for these other coins, right, yesterday. And some coins were down worse than XRP at the same time, as I reported in a video yesterday. So it looks like this is just a market-wide move, and it happened to be a down day. Some days are down, some days are up, and the hack happened on a day where it was down. But still, this is a drop in the bucket in terms of global XRP volume. And also consider this. So I reported in a video also that there was false news of Ripple, dumping on the market and this and that. And I did report that in a video yesterday, and I stand by that. Obviously now we know it was Chris Larsen, but even if you're looking at these bigger numbers, understand that when Ripple sells XRP, they're not selling it on exchanges, folks. That's not how this works. They sell it OTC, over the counter. That means that there are arrangements made behind the scenes that we are not privy to, we are not aware of. Ripple can sell however much XRP they want to a private party, one of their clients, and you can see a transfer on chain if you know where to look, but we aren't privy to that either. But so there would be a record of those, all I'm saying. And then that XRP now is held by one of their clients, whatever that quantity is, and it doesn't mean it's all dumped on the market right away anyway. Like, they could start to sell a little bit, they could use it for on-demand liquidity purposes, because that's why Ripple is selling XRP now, so that would be more likely. So there would be, an equivalent buying and selling in the market, so I don't think that would cause a drop. I'm just noting that, any big transactions like this, like Ripple, they go out of their way to make sure that the market isn't hit in one big go by any transactions, which is why I was noting, since Ripple sells OTC, there was about a 0% chance that that would have been the cause for the price dip yesterday. And I absolutely stand by that. Of course that's the case. Ripple did not have anything to do with it. They would never sell knowingly, like, they would never sell enough on them. And again, they don't sell to exchanges anyway, but they wouldn't do something like that that would impact the market. But even if it were this quantity, I'm still skeptical that it would have moved the market to this degree, because it's such a small amount against the backdrop. It's just like a drop in an ocean when you look at the volume. I mean, I'm not kidding. Here, I'll pull it up on screen. Like, look at any point yesterday. Like, here, I'm just randomly picking points. Like, here's, and the volume did spike up, especially in the evening last night. But look at what we're talking about here. Like 1.6, 1.7 billion in volume, and it was pretty well sustained. Are you going to tell me that a $50 to $100 million hack, roughly, it's resulted in 1.7 billion in global volume over a 24-hour period sustained? I'm not buying that, folks. To me, that doesn't make sense. Now, if I'm missing something, and I could be, it's early hours here, in terms of this news breaking, let me know, and if I'm wrong, I will adjust my opinion, because when I'm presented with new facts, that's how it works. I'm not going to be stubborn because I don't want to admit I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just telling you how it looks to me at this particular moment in time, and I'm just not seeing it. Then there was this. Somebody named Nakamoto Notes wrote to me and said, so my question is this. If this guy who basically invented XRP wasn't able to keep it safe, how on earth should you and I keep our XRP safe? Asking for a friend. And I responded with the following. That's a reasonable question, but I don't know how his accounts were compromised, so it's hard to say. Phishing? Theft of keys somehow? I don't know. Now, I hope that information comes out in the future. I'm not so confident that it will. I have a feeling that Chris Larsen is going to want to keep the details of this as private as possible. But I would like to know. I'm very super curious how this could possibly happen. Is somebody managing custody for him, or is he doing it himself? What is even happening here? I mean, if he fell for something, it's just like, I hope he's not also falling for those Brad Garland House XRP giveaways. I'm kidding. We got this here from Puff Puff. He wrote to me and said, y'all be accepting anything without asking questions. I don't know about that, buddy. I think everybody's asking a ton of questions, but here's what I said in response. Just reporting the news. If Chris Larsen wanted to sell at a low price, he wouldn't need to lie about it. He'd just do it probably, say nothing, as was the case when he sold large quantities in the past. Yeah, exactly. So Chris Larsen has sold a ton of XRP, large quantities, in the past, and he had no reason to talk about it. This is different because it was clearly actual fraud, but the great thing about a public ledger is you can actually see the transactions here. And so Puff Puff responded to me and said, Lambo or sedan, not sure. Okay, I don't know what the hell that even means. He says, we're not talking about buying or selling, but let's ask the questions even when things seem to make perfect sense. Let's not laud Ripple execs so much that we do not ask basic questions. We are not Ethereum. Look, you're starting to get, the way that the tone of that message sounds like you're getting a little bit too far into conspiracy theory land for me. The most likely explanation for this is probably the true one. And so there are some people that are wired in such a way that even when they're presented with what sounds like totally plausible explanation for something, they go to the most wild explanations. That's the hardest to believe, and that makes sense to those people. Just to be clear here, since this is a public blockchain, you actually can go and track all of this, which somebody did, and I'll show you that in a second here. There's nothing to indicate that this is some sort of secret conspiracy or Ripple did this or anything of the sort. I don't know what Puff is thinking here, but it's a public blockchain. There's no reason to think that Chris Larsen is lying. Present evidence. Otherwise, you're just getting into conspiracy theory land for the sake of it. And I do not like conspiracy theory, so because my brain works in a logical fashion. I'm more skeptical. My brain works in such a way that I am highly skeptical of the wild ideas that people throw out. The people that are more prone to believe conspiracy theories, my brain don't work like that. They want to jump to that stuff. My brain's like, whoa. Where's the evidence first? Because almost every conspiracy theory that's ever been posited is not true. It is horse garbage. I won't curse here. But that's just the nature of things. Then a small percentage of them, you come to find out that they're true, but it's almost 0% because people come up with a lot of crazy ideas. So present information and then I'll say, okay. But that's not where we are right now. And then there was this from XGenpoX wrote to me and said, I am very disappointed in you, Ripple, to which I responded, this has nothing to do with Ripple. So there's no reason to be disappointed in Ripple that I can see. Not at this point in time with the news available to me at this particular moment. I don't see why. There was this post from XRP community member Mr. Huber. He shared this screen grab and wrote, the theft was activated by Ripple itself yesterday. And so here you can see an account with a fraud alert on it on BitHump, activated by Ripple, and then there's the date. Now, just because it says Ripple, it doesn't literally mean necessarily that it was Ripple, though I can't say for sure why it is listed as Ripple, but let's try and explain this as best we can at this point in time. Vet responded, and Vet is a XRPL validator, and wrote to Mr. Huber and said, the account got compromised and the thief activated new accounts from the compromised account to slip through alerts and screenings of exchanges in the hope they don't track or don't screen ancestry to cover the original source, also known as the compromised account. Yeah, and so you see, since it came derived from that account, it looks, you would be more likely to believe that it was from the person that has the original account, the originating account, and as a result was hoping that since it was connected in such a way that it wouldn't trigger some sort of red flag. Instead of having a standalone account completely separate. So that's why. And now as far as why Chris Larsen's account are listed as Ripple, I mean, this could have dated back to who knows when. So unless they have some sort of weird custody arrangement where Ripple's actually managing Chris Larsen's personal XRP, which that would be an interesting story. If that were the case, I'm not saying that happened, but I don't know what the reason is for it being listed the way that it is. I'm just, this is where we're at this point in time. Mr. Huber responded, so the Ripple wallet / account was hacked, ? And Vet responded, it's actually Chris Larsen's account, checking the ancestry and of course his own tweet. And then he shared this. So you can see it is originating back to Chris Larsen. Then there was also this from WhaleWire, I think made a good point here because all sorts of Bitcoin maxis are having a fun time with this. WhaleWire wrote the following. For clarification on the XRP hack story that is currently circulating, it's clear that XRP was not hacked, nor is that possible. Lots of fake news going around. What happened was someone had gained access to co-founder Chris Larsen's personal wallets yesterday, but thankfully they noticed it quick enough and law enforcement working alongside crypto exchanges have already frozen all of the stolen funds. You can see how quickly the maxi media tries to spin this story to bash on XRP. It's like if Michael Saylor had his private keys compromised, and then headlines reading, Bitcoin was just hacked. Okay, that is a good point, and that is what's happening. Look at Bitcoinist.com. They know better. It's been hours now since the news broke. They should know better. They should not have that damn headline up. But what are they doing? They're just keeping it up there. And they probably won't update it because they're Bitcoinist.com and they don't give a damn. Anything that makes XRP look worse, that's what they're going for. So we'll talk more about this if more news breaks on this, but that's the latest. Again, It's very early hours on this stuff, so more news could come out. Specifics could change, which could make any number of things that I cited in this video wrong or irrelevant to whatever degree. But I'm just trying to get the news out quickly, and this is what's known publicly at this point in time. I'm just operating in good faith. If anything materially changes, for sure, I will be talking about it in a future video, though. But I'll wrap up for now. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.